Hi Internet, welcome to the Gregtroyan YouTube channel, and welcome to Greg's 14 Adventures, a weekly vlog where I discuss my journey through Final Fantasy XIV as a first-time player. I beat a realm reborn back in 2022, and I'm finally finishing up the rest of the game. These vlogs are documenting my journey. If you like these videos and want to support their continued production, the best way to do that is to like the video, share it on a relevant social media site like Reddit, and leave a comment. Thanks, pal. So it's been another crazy busy week in the Gregtroyan household. So this week, on top of having a bunch of overtime hours, we've also been having to deal with a leak from the washing machine valves in the laundry room, which ordinarily one or the other wouldn't be that big of a deal. But the week where I'm working overtime, I can't take any, time off to sleep, and then have to spend a bunch of time working on fixing a leak, like on top of all the overtime hours, it's a bit exhausting. It's a bit exhausting. The one bright spot was just pretending this is part of the Mugoku Podita side quest in Final Fantasy XI, and just like, it all began with a leak. This is all going to go somewhere interesting, I hope. Hopefully somewhere better. But actually, because I knew I was getting a bunch of overtime this week, I got most of my 14 playing in over the weekend, which I don't normally do. I normally get my 14 playing in the mornings before work. But because I knew I had all the overtime this week, I decided, you know what, let's, wake up early over the weekend and knock out a bunch of 14 then. Because next up on my to-do list was optional dungeons for Heavensward. And I know that, okay, I should probably do this, more in the middle of the day on the weekend when people are likely to be playing, as opposed to early in the morning before work when people aren't awake. And so I went and marathoned all the Heavensward optional dungeons. Not really all of them are worth talking about, so I will, mention the ones that I think are worth discussing. So the Lost City of Ampedor Hard, what is interesting about that one is that the bosses I recognize from the Shadowbringers trailer, Karibu and Winged Lion. I'm like, man, these guys look familiar. And then I'm like, oh, they're from the Shadowbringers trailer. So I'm guessing there's going to be a lore about Ampedor in Shadowbringers that is going to be significantly important, and we will see these characters again, and they will probably be more difficult boss fights with more lore behind them, and I might get an extra line of dialogue because I did this optional dungeon. Pharaoh Sirius Hard had an enemy called Construct 8, which was a reference to Final Fantasy Tactics that I thought was really cool. I like Construct 8 in Final Fantasy Tactics, so I was happy to see him here. So I ended up redoing Zamil Darkhold because I needed it for my Serpent promotion, because what I ended up doing for these optional dungeons was I would do 3 at a time in the Duty Finder and just wait to see whichever one I got and then just do that dungeon next. But I decided while waiting, I might as well work on my Serpent rank and such. And I was making progress, and then the next thing I had to do was do Zamil Darkhold again for the promotion. So that one also ended up in the Duty Finder. So redid that dungeon, and it was just as okay as the other times I've done it. The Som Al Hard side quest was fun because it gave me Mughals, it gave me Vidofnir, who was next up in the MSQ, and it was the rare dungeon run where I was actually the MVP. Usually in 14, I feel like I am the least good player playing in the dungeon. I feel like I don't understand the mechanics, I'm being carried by other players, and I think that's not as true as I make it out to be in my head. I think I am better and contribute more than maybe I give myself credit for, but because I'm extra harsh on myself, like, oh, everyone else thinks I suck and I'm not doing a good job contributing. But in this dungeon, I actually was really the MVP of the experience. I was doing really well as DPS. I healed my allies as a red mage when they needed some help, and there was one point where the entire party died, and there was still a mob of enemies, and I actually finished off the mob myself, and then waited for everyone else to show back up. But, I don't consider myself to be that good of a 14 player, but doing things like that, like healing my party members, being a very competent damage dealer with good strategy, and even, soloing a mob after everyone else had fallen, I felt pretty cool about that. And as you can tell, this is going to be a shorter vlog this week because we're already at the mid-video call to action. This is the part of the video where I tell you to like the video, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, and to share the video. Share the video with a friend you're playing 14 with, tell them about my vlog series, and hey, tell them about my Discord channel too. I've got a fun Discord channel that is getting larger by the day, and I'm meeting lots of cool people on there, people from the comment section, and people who I haven't really seen in the comment section and are just showing up to hang out and talk about 14 and all kinds of other things. The main rules on the Discord server is the most important rule is don't be a jerk. That's the main thing. Be chill. Be nice. That's the main rule. And then the secondary rule is try to keep it PG-13 because I don't know the ages of everybody on that Discord server, so like, don't do anything that can get anybody legally in trouble or like be awkward with someone's parents. So just like, be chill, be normal. And I've got tons of other cool content on this YouTube channel if you're interested. There's an entire playlist of Greg's 14 Adventures if you want to catch up on older episodes. I've got numerous video essays, like on what Final Fantasy game you should start with, a giant video essay on Final Fantasy XI, and over 10 hours of video essays ranking the Final Fantasy games in different categories. I've also got a stream coming up this Saturday, ranking the songs on the Taylor Swift album Folklore, so if you're a Swiftie, come join us for that in the live chat. And every Thursday I do reaction videos reacting to a random song from the Thin Lizzy catalog, so come watch those as well. But yeah, best way to navigate my YouTube channel, just check out a playlist of content you're interested in, and see all the goodies on that playlist. Alright, mid-video call to action over. So my goal in between expansions is to do all the side content that I can before diving back into the MSQ, but the way that Heavensward is set up is that you have to do a bit more MSQ before you can do more of the side content in between the expansions, so that's what I decided to do next. So the first thing the party did was go and meet with Vidofnir and invite them to Ishgard as sort of a sign of goodwill to showcase both to Ishgardians and dragons that the war has ended and that we are being united in peace. And so it was nice to see Vidofnir again after seeing Vidofnir like 5 minutes earlier doing the Sam al-Hard side quest. Vidofnir rejects our invitation for the time being because Vidofnir is worried about Ravana being summoned again and dealing with that mess. And so we go and follow up on some rumors we heard about Thancred returning and trying to find him. And while searching for Thancred, we meet Krile, who I've seen in a bunch of promotional images, and I'm assuming that Krile is going to be a more significant scion than Mu and Brita, and I will be very surprised if Krile dies, like, immediately the next time I do a vlog. So we'll see if Krile dies in the next vlog, but I'm hoping not. But after meeting with Krile, we continue investigating rumors about Thancred's location, and we end up fighting with the Warriors of Darkness. There is not too much story significance given to them at this point. It's more just a cool fight scene, just like, where are the Warriors of Darkness? And there's some confusion as to like what their goal is, because it seems like we have the same goal, so why are we bothering to fight? And as we're fighting the Warriors of Darkness, Thancred comes in for a save, helps us out. Nice to see Thancred after so long. Looking quite a bit different, quite a bit more rugged, but still good old Thancred, we think, maybe. But back at Ishgard, Aymeric gets stabbed, and the reason for this is because people are accusing him of being a tyrant, because he basically, he killed his dad and assumed all political control over Ishgard and uprooted the society by basically revealing the church's lies. So ordinarily, when someone in his position takes power after, like, the high priest dies, they are supposed to have that position temporarily until the church appoints a new high priest. But because of the church's corruption, there's questioning as to whether or not Aymeric will cede any power back to the church. And so because of that, there's political unrest and Aymeric gets stabbed in an assassination attempt. So we make our way back to Ishgard, and we find out that a faction of the church is causing civil unrest, burning homes and kidnapping people to vie for power, trying to get Aymeric to surrender himself for patricide, and basically the church taking back over Ishgard. But instead of surrendering ourselves, Aymeric, Atriol, and a few others decide we're going to storm the church and rescue the hostages. And so we have a solo instance with Atriol, who looks very much like his brother when he's all armored up, and a wounded Aymeric. And I am worried for both of them, because Atriol seems like he's finally, entering a life of duty and honor and doing what he's supposed to do, and acting like his brother, very heroic. And I'm like, ooh, you're, giving up the party lifestyle and being a hero. And then Aymeric is also super wounded. And the last time I was in this church, storming it for a big fight, one of my party members died. So I'm like, oh shoot, is one of them gonna die here? I really hope not. But we make our way through and rescue all of the hostages, but there's one hostage who's on the roof and who's being held over it by an evil priest. And basically the priest's like, screw it, I'm throwing her off, and she's gonna die. And just when it looks like she's about to hit the ground, Vidofnir flies in and saves the girl, showing to all of Ishgard that, hey, dragons can be cool and help humans and elven and the like, and that we don't need to be enemies. Look at how noble this dragon is. And while I liked that part of the scene, I wasn't a fan of how comically evil the priest's face was, because his motivations didn't seem sadistic like he enjoyed harming innocents. He just seemed like he wanted power in a very cold, calculating political way. And so it didn't seem like he was the type of character who got off on hurting innocent people. It's just like, nope, this is just the chess piece, the pawn that needs to be sacrificed so that I can rule over the land. I feel like 14 has given these faces to, like, villainous characters a few times in the game, and it's felt a bit over the top. Like, I don't think that every bad person is bad in the same way, and I think just making some of the characters, like, so comically over the top evil doesn't land when, like, the rest of their motivation is written a different way. And I would rather see them save that face for, like, you know, the true Kefkas of the game, rather than just like, yeah, I just want political power. I don't think that is how, like, Vayne Solidor wouldn't do this when he was, like, casually doing an assassination for more power. And it doesn't work for me. I think that's a choice that does not land. The rest of the scene, it landed really well, and I thought that Vidofnir was going to come in for the save the entire time, but 14 has surprised me with how gruesome it can be, so I'm like, oh yeah, this girl might actually be dead. But afterwards, we all breathe a nice sigh of relief, and Leito has a talk with Y'shtola, and we both agree that something is up with Thancred, but we can't quite put our finger on what it is. We think it might be that he lost his magic. It seems like the most likely thing, but we're going to keep an eye on him. And then we cut to an Ascian and Urianger talking, along with the Warrior of Darkness, and a mysterious pair of feet spying on them, which kind of looks like Alphino's old pair of shoes. So I'm wondering who is spying on them, and how they got in there, how they got away so quickly without being attacked, and why is Urianger hanging out with freaking Ascians and the Warriors of Darkness? What is that dude up to? And so that was all the time for the MSQ I had this week. Aside from that, I did play the Hildebrand questline with Summoner Jobin again with my alt character Gred Troyan. And it was actually pretty interesting. While we were hanging out playing the Hildebrand questline, Summoner Jobin was asking me what my favorite track from the Final Fantasy series was, just a curiosity question. And I said, you know, it changes, but at the moment, the boss theme from Final Fantasy VI, The Decisive Battle. And I had forgotten that that was the music for the fight we were about to do, the Dragon's Neck. And so that was really fun to, you know, be talking about that being my favorite Final Fantasy track, and then doing that boss fight. And it was actually my first time doing the fight properly, because with Leito I did the fight unsynced. But it was a lot of fun, and at the end of the fight, Summoner Jobin got the wind-up Ultros. I got it with Leito the last time I played, but it was really great that Summoner Jobin was able to get that. It was really, really great. I was really happy for him. And also, one of the new people to join my Discord, Sean Darko, logged in, so I could add him as a friend with Leito and Gred Troyan. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, that's basically it for this week. Kind of a short and sweet vlog. Well, we'll see if it's actually short and sweet. The recording time is like 24 minutes, but we'll see what happens with that. Next up on my to-do list is actually doing the Warring Triad and Alexander Quest. So that's going to be fun to do both of those. I'm really excited for that. See how much I get done of those next week. I've got, like I said, a lot going on. I've got the overtime the rest of the week. Recording this on Wednesday, so it should be out Friday. So overtime the rest of the week. The Taylor Swift live stream. Also recording a demo for a band that I used to play with as a hired gun. They're interested in doing one of my songs. So I've got to record that demo probably over the weekend. So, you know, busy like a bee over here, but, you know, still wanted to make sure I make time to play 14 every week, because I mean, this is my main storytelling thing that I'm doing nowadays. I usually consume one story at a time so I can fully savor it in, and 14 is my main story. Although I will say that this last bunch of MSQ quests didn't do as much for me. Maybe the cinematography felt a bit lackluster in a lot of aspects, aside from maybe like the Vidofnir save scene. Like that was a really well shot scene. And the fight with the Warriors of Darkness was pretty good. But otherwise it just felt like, I don't know, the story just wasn't grabbing me for this part. It really felt like we were just like delaying the end of the Dragonsong War storyline, and it was making me think like, okay, let's get to the point, let's see what's going on with Estinian, let's resolve this plot line. And it just felt like not too much was accomplished other than Thancred coming back and meeting with the Warriors of Darkness, because and Krile. But otherwise, like, we kind of left Ishgard back where we left it. It was almost like an anime filler arc where like Aymeric is in charge and people are getting used to dragons but are warming up to them. And then the end of this arc is Aymeric is in charge and people are still getting used to the dragons but warming up to them. It's just like, okay, it felt like an anime filler arc, and which I enjoy anime filler arcs and I think they're still enjoyable, but I was ready to actually get the plot moving. And aside from, you know, Thancred coming back, meeting Krile and the Warriors of Darkness being revealed, not too much has happened thus far. So yeah, this little patch of MSQ quests didn't do as much for me. The optional dungeons, I think actually were overall not as good as the Realm Reborn optional dungeons. I liked those probably better. So yeah, it's weird. The patch quests of A Realm Reborn and patch content of A Realm Reborn thus far has beaten Heavensward. Hildebrand ARR I thought was better. Optional dungeons ARR I thought were better. And thus far, looking at the patch storyline, I'm also going to give that to ARR, but you know, there's still a lot. I only did just start in the patch MSQ, so there's room for it to improve. Oh yeah, the Alliance raids. I thought ARR's was better too. Ooh, man, yeah. Does ARR have better patch content than Heavensward? I mean, there's still, I'll have to see how Alexander and Warren Triad go, so there's still room, and the rest of the MSQ. But yeah, absolutely shocking that thus far ARR has better patch content than Heavensward. That is something I am really shocked by. The ebbs and flows and surprise of this game, where things I thought would be, you know, okay, ended up being great. Things I thought would be great ended up being okay. Yeah, just very interesting. The one thing I'll say about 14 is that my expectations are always shifting. And so I think it's just good to maybe not have any expectations and just go along for the ride and just see how everything hits me. But anyway, that is the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think of the Heavensward patch content. Is it better than the A Realm Reborn patch content? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, everyone.